Electricity Minister Dr Kgosientsho Ramokgopa has briefed the media to give an update on the implementation of the Energy Action Plan and generation performance. SABC News economics reporter Katlego Legodi attended the briefing and he joins us live from Pretoria. A very good afternoon, Katlego. What can you tell us?
A very good afternoon to you, Nompu, and to our viewers at home. Of course, today we're seeing the second in the year of the Energy Action Plan update by the Minister of Electricity, Dr Kgosientsho Ramokgopa, really giving us progress in terms of what has been happening over time. Remember that we went into the festive season and things were not really as agile, really as we can, in terms of also those that were using electricity sparingly, looking also at firms and companies that had shut their doors for the festive season. So we're back at it. The ball is rolling. When you look at it, it's back to reality. Most of those industrial companies have opened as we speak right now, and we're seeing the electricity minister working, of course, with the Ministry of Public Enterprises and Energy, working to ensure that at least there's a stabilizing of that energy grid and stabilizing of actually what has been happening at Eskom. The minister today giving us an update, also following what we saw happen at Davos last week, where we saw the World Economic Forum. South Africa was there with a delegation that was also wooing investors in terms of just making South Africa attractive to investors so that they...
Now, let's go back to Katlego Legodi, who is about to get into conversation with the Minister of Electricity, Dr Kgosientsho Ramokgopa.
Well, Nompu, a very good afternoon to you again. Apologies for that. We are not load-shedded here at the Union Buildings this afternoon, so I don't know what happened there, but I'm going to bring into the conversation now the Electricity Minister, Dr Kgosientsho Ramokgopa, who will give us a sense of that update. We're seeing you giving us the second one in the year, the update here in terms of the efforts that are underway. You're saying we're not out of the woods yet, but there is progress in terms of ensuring that there's energy security here at home. Welcome to the SABC. How are we faring?
Thank you very much, Katlego, and greetings to the viewers back at home. I think the aggregate message we're conveying is that the outlook remains positive. If you look at the summer plan that was tabled by Eskom, suggests that the unplanned capacity loss factor, that is the rate at which the units are failing, and the partial losses, that is the units not performing at the right level, it's going to reach about 14,500 megawatts. And if we reach that, we'll go to stage 4 of load shedding. We are not close to that. I mean, we've consistently been performing since the turn of the calendar year at about 13,500 megawatts. So 1,000 megawatts better than what the outlook was, and that's why we are not the worst levels of load shedding we've been experiencing is about stage 3. And this is also on the back of the fact that we have ramped up planned maintenance. You made a correct observation during the December period, especially that window, the 15th to the 1st of December or first week of January. Most factories are closed to our energy intensive users, so it means that demand is low. Then we ramped up the planned maintenance. We're still at those levels. If you look at the numbers now, we're still at 8,800 megawatts. To put it into context, when we went into winter, the planned maintenance was at about 2,500 megawatts. So we've increased it, if you like, 3.7 times, 3.7 fold. That is the planned maintenance. And what has been our experience is that once we get to invest in that planned maintenance, when the unit returns, we've got very few repeat failures. So when the unit comes down, remains on load and performs at the approximate design capacity. So the efficiencies are high, and that's why we will not relent on planned maintenance. Of course, we do expect towards the end of February, there's a number of units that are coming back. So that planned maintenance, the curve is going to come down. We should be reaching about 7,000 megawatts, 6,500. So there's an additional 1,000 to 1,500 megawatts that's going to come on stream. The second feature of the performance now is that we are not burning diesel at those levels. So the total capacity that's available on the diesel side, both the Eskom units and the ones operated by the IPPs, is about 3,000 megawatts. We're burning very little diesel. So what you see now is a true performance of the system. So even when you have stage 2 load shedding. There's 3,000 megawatts of diesel that we could be banning. We are not banning because, like I said, although the biggest cost of energy is that of unsafe energy, ESCOM must still operate within the parameters of what is being budgeted for. The budget is not being exhausted on diesel, but it's important that they are able to plan it and ensure that by the time they get to the end of the financial year, they've not exhausted that. So it's just a balance on what is possible on the banning of the diesel, but maintain load shedding at the levels that are significantly lower. Stage 1, stage 2, at the west we go to stage 3. As we return these units, we'll see that the outlook really looks positive. You don't discount the fact that there could be a cluster of units failing and requiring us to intensify, but where we are, I think we're confident about our abilities going forward, and that's why, like I said, the most enduring solution is to keep on looking for new generation capacity so that we resolve load shedding once and for all.
Yeah, and Minister, we are on an investment drive as a country right now to ensure that there's energy security. We saw a team leading us to Davos last week in terms of what was happening at the World Economic Forum, and there were those conversations that were held. Can you give us a feedback in terms of what did they come back with? Are we really on the right footing in terms of those that are interested in investing in South Africa as we speak right now to help us with this energy crisis?
It's a fair question. So I received feedback from the team really on the transmission side. So remember, I did say that we need upwards of 400 billion rand to be able to expand the transmission, 14,000 kilometers of new lines, and modernize the transmission. So the conversations that the team has had is that there's an insatiable appetite from private sector to invest in that space. The conversation that I also joined virtually from here was that we met with some of the marquee banks in the world. They have confidence about the solutions on the transmission side and also the kind of ideas that we are putting on the table, because they've worked somewhere, they are tried and tested, and we want to get to a situation where you don't need sovereign guarantees to ensure that you attract investment in the space. And some of these banks, they say, no, we can sit behind this investment, almost guarantee them. But remember, as we do that, the transmission remains a state asset. So it's not privatized, it remains the state asset. There are different models, permutations, configurations on how you can finance it. Transmission is very key because we just released bid window number 7. You need the new generation capacity from renewable. Those resources are in the Cape areas, Northern Cape, Eastern Cape, Western Cape. Those areas don't have grid capacity. So you can allocate, you can have preferred bidder status, they can go invest, they can produce, but you can't evacuate. You can't transport those electrons, the electricity we need, because you need the freeways, and that's what transmission is about. So we need, parallel to this, invest in transmission so that the challenges we're seeing now on the generation side don't repeat themselves on the transmission side. That's a lesson that we have learned, and that's why we're executing this parallel. Like I said to your question, the issue is not the money, it's around the regulatory framework, it's about the governance structure, it's about the architecture of relationships of the various parties in that ecosystem, and that's what we have resolved. And then in this way, I'm sure before the end of February, we'll announce to you what is the amount of investment on the transmission side, and then we can accelerate. On the back of that, you industrialize, localize the manufacturing of some of these components. As you build transmission, you build a new capacity, you transition. That part of just transition will also mean that new skills, employment creation, broaden the industrial base, and the National Revenue Funds expands, and we are able to finance social programs in the country.
Minister, thank you very much for your time and everything of the best. The Energy Minister, or the Electricity Minister, that is Dr Kgosientsho Ramokgopa, giving us really an update in terms of the work that has been done on the ground. It's really all hands on deck, as you hear him saying as well. There have been positive feedback coming out of the World Economic Forum as they try and push to ensure that load shedding is a thing of the past. Back to you in studio, Nompu.